Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to be docked in Sydney at 11:30. It is currently just before 8 and I'm doing another bag of laundry. And I didn't do this last time, but what we brought like some white garbage bags. You can buy them anywhere. We bought ours from Costco, and they just give you a little bit of extra room for the clothes that you need. I'm sure I would have had enough, but it also gave me that extra support, because if you remember last time the bag started tearing apart, and this hasn't happened with this, and yes, I have another $34 coupon, and so I've filled the bag and it's completely still intact.
Moving on with question number 2. How long can sloths hold their breath? Question number 3. Where was Hawaiian pizza originated?
I just saw this morning. So we are currently docked in Sydney from what it looks like. I've spent the past 2 hours in the Bliss Lounge. There was a really fun, it looks like, a really fun fitness class today. Normally I don't do them unless they're by the production team, and this one was by the production team, so I really enjoyed that one. You kind of learn a dance from the show, and then I did trivia, didn't do too well there, and then I just finished making a tech organizer. You just had to sew it together, and then there were supposed to be some things that you can like put on with a stick, but none of them stayed on, and so that's what I spent the morning doing. And so with this, I'm just going to leave it blank, and then I am now going to go up to the room to get ready to get off the ship for our tour, and I will explain what we're doing for our tour. So we were supposed to go to the deck and Alexander Graham Bell Museum, and we had booked through Blackwood Tours, which we went with them to the Cabot Trail, and it was amazing. I highly recommend them, but there wasn't enough people, so they canceled the tour on us. And I don't have a problem with them canceling it. It was just last night at supper time, so super last minute. So then there was like nothing else privately that you could book through, so we went on to NCL to see what we could book, and the Alexander Graham Bell Museum was sold out. And so we're going to some different kind of museum today through the ship that talks about Gaelic culture, and it looks like it, if you know where I live, it kind of reminds me of Motherwell Homestead, but it's like a bunch of different buildings that you can go into with people giving presentations and people dressed up in the same way. I'm not really too sure what it is since we kind of just booked it last night, but I'm looking forward to going there today.
And I'm just going to give you a little bit of background before we get there so you understand where you're going. So it's located in the heart, the geographical center of Cape Breton Island. That's why the tour is called the Heart of the Island. Now this area was settled in 1802 by Gaelic-speaking Catholic immigrants from the Isle of Barra in Scotland. Now if you know your history, this was around the time of the Highland clearances. Goats. Sorry, that's my grandfather instincts kicking in. So the Highland clearances happened in the 1700s, late 1700s, where the British landowners removed all the Scottish settlers, all the Scottish people who were there, because they needed more grazing land for their sheep. And it was called the Highland clearances. They cleared all the land. And so all those Scottish people had nowhere to go. Some of them went to Australia. Some of them came here to Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia. Did you get that? New Scotland. Nova Scotia. It's Latin. Nova Scotia, New Scotland. Yeah, thousands of immigrants came to this area here. And they settled along the coast of the Bredor Lake. And you'll see once we get there why they would stay even with the brutal winters that they had here. And they had some brutal winters. This is an area of the island where it gets very cold. And they get a lot of snow. But now the Highland Village is a living museum. It's a 43-acre hilltop site that overlooks the Bredor Lake. So it's a series of buildings. There's 11 different buildings that you're going to visit, and it tells the story of the first 180 years of the Scottish Highlanders who came here. So 180 of history. And so it starts with what's called the Black House. And it's a replica of a Hebridean home, a home that they built in Scotland with the grass roof, you know, the sod roof. You'll see one of those buildings. And then you'll pass through other homes of different pioneers, and you'll see the actual costumed animators are in the buildings. So you'll see people who are dressed of the time that they represent. And so you'll start with that Black House, which is really just one room. And then you'll move to a log cabin, which is about 1870s. And then from the log cabin, you'll move to a home. You'll continue on the path to a home that's in the early 1900s, and then continue on to more homes up until you get to 1925. And all of these homes, by the way, are all original buildings that were moved to this location. Okay, so they weren't from this location, they weren't built here. They were deconstructed and rebuilt on this site. And it's meant to represent all the different types of buildings you would see in a Highland village. There's a Canadian flagpole there. You'll see the post office for Christmas Island. That's it. That is it. Yeah, 20,000 cards, Christmas cards, 15 extra staff. No, they don't all squeeze in there. Actually, they work out of the fire hall here during the Christmas season. So much more room there for the 15 new employees.
Any wood you see would have been salvaged off the beaches, because in Barra there were no trees, you know, one or two, nothing. So this would have been a shipwreck. You know, you salvage it off here. You might have burned, more than likely you're burning peat, not wood, but maybe you would have wood off the beaches, you know, to burn. But yeah, anything wood. The iron guards you against Nashiakin, the little people. So very important. So I would take that. This is the trunk. This is the only thing I could take, this small trunk. So I would be putting these things in, not this. It would be too much. A few plates, maybe some oats to plant, a little bit of bonnet I would make to take. The ships would have some food. But yeah, not much.
How long was the journey?
Well, I've heard 8 weeks or more. You're going by sail. So depending on the part of the year that you go, you know, storms would put you off course perhaps. You're welcome to try the griststone there. Now this griststone would be in people's houses. You have, oh, you're going the right way, yeah. You gotta go, oh, there you go. Very smart. You put your one hand on the side. You can use your, yeah, you can do that. Yeah, there you go. So this griststone here would be in people's homes, and my plan would be I would take this with me. But at 1830, the landlords are building their own grist mills, and they don't want us doing our own. They want to make money as us taking our grain to them. So they're sending their agents in to break these in the homes. If I can make it through the winter, that's going on the ship if the captain will let me put it on the ship as ballast. So if you go back to 2025 or forward, there are still some of these around that you'll see in people's, you know.
In Cape Breton.
We built a little loft up there with some milled lumber as well. That's where the kids all sleep. Log cabin's a lot quicker to put up and it's warm. It's really well insulated. And it only lasts maybe 30 or 40 years because it's so insulated and airtight that moisture's bound to be trapped and start to rot. Yeah, I'm just heating up some beeswax on over the fire there. We're fortunate. We're not really into keeping bees in this time, but a lot of the English loyalists are. They're growing orchards and things like that. So we're able to track some down off of them.
How many kids do you have?
Me, I've only got 8. Yeah, but in this time, this house could have 3 or 4 families because immigrants are still coming over. They haven't got their own shelter built. So if I have 2 cousins and they have 10 kids apiece, you can stack people like that, I guess. However many you need to live in a place like this, you can for the time being.
Would this be a sign of wealth? Not necessarily. It just kind of depends on where you're situated. So most people coming over don't really have any money at all, so to speak. You're just creating everything with your own hands, trading, bartering. But this home was situated near a water-powered sawmill and a stone quarry. So there was just more advantages for this family that built this home because of where they were located, where they got their land grant. So so not necessarily wealth or prestige, but more so just kind of luck of the draw.
We have two milk cows. We don't butcher cattle at this point because we need them for the milk.
What do you do with the male animals that are born?
With the male animals, well, you can trade and
You wouldn't butcher the male animals.
well, I mean, some people might. This
But
family
you
doesn't.
personally wouldn't.
No. And our cows aren't breeding, so we just have 2 milk cows. They're both female, and well, I mean, you do have to have a ram come in, or not a ram, but a bull, and the neighbors have a bull that does some breeding for different families in the community.
Did the house get very hot in summer when you were
Yeah,
cooking?
but that's the beauty of this open hallway, the central hallway. If you open both doors and the windows are across from each other, you get as much air as you can.
Mommy
that
has these
way.
plates.
And then the stove, you
Mommy
would
has the
use
same
it
ones.
in the early part of the day, get some cooking done, and then let it go out.
Did you can a lot of your meat?
No, most meat was salted. Fish was salted, beef was, corned beef and salt.
So you were able to buy enough salt at the store?
Oh, yes, yes.
Did you have a root cellar for your
Oh,
vegetables?
we don't have one, but yeah, most households would have a root cellar. You would grow mostly root vegetables that could be stored, potatoes, carrots, turnips and that kind of thing would be stored for the winter, apples, and salted fish. Lots of fish if you're lucky.
Did you just have beef or did you butcher pork?
Pork.
And chickens?
Oh, you had your chickens, sure, for eggs, yeah. By 1890, most farms are really well established. The land's been cleared back. There's lots of grazing. There's lots of hay land. So hopefully you've got enough manpower in your family to get all the work done, but you can feed yourself really reliably. And most families did a little fishing in the summer with just a net for the family.
Did you grind your own flour or?
No, you would buy it. We can't grow wheat very well here. Some people did, but you couldn't really get a big wheat crop. You can grow oats and barley and things like that well, but not wheat.
But today we're having a little Gaelic lesson in this school, so if you'd like to learn a phrase, the phrase I'm going to give to you all is Kimid a hashif.
Kimid the hash.
How are you? And there's a lot of different answers, it depends on how you're feeling, but we might start off with Gama, which is well, very well. Or we could have Gleva, which is very well. Or you could say Kumashach. Kumashach. Doing all right, which is the most typical Gaelic answer. You don't want to say, oh, I'm fantastic. You're kind of inviting bad luck, but if you say, I'm all right, I'm okay, you know, that's what you mostly hear. So, Kimid a hashif.
Kimid the hash.
And then the answer is Gama.
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 Did the teacher board close to the school or what? And live in the
board
basement?
with a family in the area. And the trouble with keeping teachers is that you have to be able to pay them. So some communities don't have enough money in the community to pay the teacher. So there's definitely cases where a teacher's working the whole year and then at the end of the year there's nothing to pay her with and
so did they do
there's nowhere
barter
to get
or
that
no?
money. What's that?
Like something kind of a barter or?
Yes, yeah. And so when you're boarding with staying at Highland, you're getting your room, place to stay, you're getting your meals. So they don't need a lot of money, but they're meant to be paid, not always being paid.
What grades would be taught in this school?
You typically start school maybe 7 or 8, sometimes 6 if you live close to the school and you're able to walk when you're 6, because everyone's walking to school. And you can go right through to maybe you're 16, 17, but most people are finishing earlier.
So people came to the counter and told you what they wanted and you went to the shelf and picked it off and stuff?
Yes, yeah. No, we're not quite at the self-serve point, so everything's behind the counters and people will come in and whether they're looking for tea or tobacco. You know, most people, I mean, things like tea, most people just buy it by the pound. It comes in big crates, you know.
So your linens and that you sold here too?
Oh yeah, no, you'd sell a bit of ready-made clothing, but we're still at a point when most people are fairly self-sufficient in that they make their own clothing out of wool, linen. The other thing is the catalog. You might come in here to order something from the catalog, which is it's quite common to order clothing from there at this point. T. Eaton Company, based out of Toronto.
So you had the post office as part of the store?
Yes, no, post office would be incorporated into the largest store in the community, usually. We have the telephone as well.
The only telephone in town?
No, there'd be a few, whether you have the party line or whether you have a switchboard like you'll see down at the ladies' house there.
And that's the washing machine, yeah. It's a wringer, you know. Well, that's what we call them. It has an agitator.
Oh.
See? It's made of copper, so it won't rust, holds the heat, and it's very light.
And so you just close the top and spin it yourself?
Well, you put the clothes in there and all the water, and this is it.
Nice.
Right? You get one of the youngsters, you know, to do that. If you can find one around that disappeared because it's Monday, you know, this is it, right? And then you run it through there, you take the top off, you run it through there, and that goes into the boiler. You know, you got to catch it somewhere. There's a boiler there. If it's a quick wash, you can have cold water in that, and you just bring it back through the wringer, you know, backwards, right? But otherwise, you mostly like let out the water here and put the bung back in, put clean water in, and do it again. You know, do this, right?
Yeah.
Give it a good rinse.
Good rinse.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So then it goes right out on the line. So it's actually very quick. You can't get the homespun, the barn clothes much done in the wringer. You know, you have to get the old mangle out of the barn. You need the bigger rollers, right? So, you know, but mostly you get all the house dresses now are all in calico and all that. And the aprons and sheets and stuff.
What
Get
year
through
is
there.
this house?
1925.
What did you store in the top part of the stove?
That's the for the dinners that are done, you know. Well, one of the little fellows hot is in there. That's my salt to keep it from getting too. That's my stove cleaning equipment. But and that's my fat for the stove, and put the dinners up in there. When or a dish is finished, or you want to warm the bread, or it keeps quite warm.
This museum was so interesting. I loved it. I highly recommend it. There are almost people in every building that represent the people who lived there at the time. So they don't have a script per se, but you ask them questions and then they just answer based off of the time period and all that kind of stuff. And so, like, as you've seen already, that lady doing the washing machine, I just got there at that time, and then today is Monday, so that Gaelic lesson in the school, that was a special for Monday. And then, like, there were just so many other things that they talked about, and you just had to ask all the questions, and our guide told us that that was the best way to do this museum, was by just talking to the guide, because that's how we would get the most out of it. And it was just, like I said, so incredible. And then also in the previous footage, you saw that thing, or that video of the post office. So he was saying that every year, people from all over the world will mail Christmas cards to Christmas Island just to get the rejection stamp, and they get over 20,000 letters all the way even from Japan, and we're on the east coast of Canada right now. So literally all around the world, and then they put the rejection stamp on and then send it back to where the person lived. And like I said, they get 20,000 Christmas cards every year, and they have to hire about 15 to 20 workers during that time. And they said the fire hall, which I think is in the video or previous footage, which is where they do the rejection stamps.
Canada's total output. So most of the coal in Canada came from Cape Breton.
See, here's the fire
And in
station.
1915,
And then we're coming up.
that was the year where the most people
where the Christmas cards come.
worked in the Cape Breton
Right
coal
there.
industry, and that was 12,000.
So we are back at the port of Sydney, and we've just gone inside the building, so the port building, and now the big fiddle is right there. And our tour guide told us that if you stand in front of it, it will play music. So that's interesting. Oh, here's the music.
Back to school 100.
Back to school 100. What temperature does the water boil in a Celsius? Taylor? Yes.
100.
100 is correct. A pad up. Okay, Alicia.
Peas.
Peas. From now, there is Darcy, sorry.
A pod of
Dolphins is correct. Now,
The Faithful for 400.
Faithful for 400. The singer fans are known as believers. Oh, Alicia.
Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber is correct. Now you have 200 points. Now, Alicia, choose your category.
The Faithful 500.
The Faithful 500. The singing singer fans are known as Little Monsters.
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga. Okay, which category do you want?
Who's Hungry 400.
Who's Hungry 400. Which nut is used to make Nutella spread?
Hazelnut.
Hazelnut is correct. Now,
After we got back on the ship, we went for supper and we got a window facing, I guess, on the starboard side, which is the right side, which was looking into Sydney. And it was just super interesting because Island Princess was doing tendering today. And there were like 15 people waiting for a tender, and we thought the last tender had went, but then 2 came back, and then there was a whole busload of like probably 50 people from a shore excursion, so we know that's what they were waiting for. So after that I went back to the room, and there was a game show I wanted to go to at 8:15. It was called the Quizmaster Game Show. If you've watched any of my previous vlogs, I said it's similar to Jeopardy, and they have 2 rounds, and I got called up to be in the second round. It was a lot of fun. I only got 1 question right, and I got 1 wrong. My total score was 200. I think everybody else scored like 2100, 1700, and 1600, something like that. I just wasn't fast enough when pressing the button on the questions. I knew a lot of them, but just didn't press it fast enough. I filmed it, so you'll have seen the content by now. And for participating, you got a shirt that says, "The best version of me is when I'm at sea." You can't really see it right now. It's an extra large, so not my size, but I'm gonna keep it, and maybe it will shrink, or maybe I'll give it to my dad. And tomorrow, no problem, and tomorrow I will see you in Halifax.